As expected, the Federal Reserve meeting, that I've been saying for forever now, every single Federal Reserve meeting means absolutely nothing for the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at the same price it was a couple days ago. So with that said, the Fed Reserve lowered interest rates once more. Keep in mind that the last 4 Fed meetings, the price of Bitcoin has dropped. And actually, the last Fed Reserve meeting that we had when the Fed turned hawkish, Bitcoin dropped 30%. So this is the opposite of what I would say like 95% of the people in the crypto space say when it comes to Fed Reserve meetings. It shows that most of the crypto people do not have a clue about how the Fed Reserve works, first off, because as you know, they are super bullish. Most people are very bullish when the Fed Reserve lowers interest rates. And this is what's happened, and Bitcoin is seeing another drop. Okay, so let's go over to my tweet right here. I did yesterday. The Fed Reserve just announced that they are going to cut rates by 25 basis points, which will be the 3rd rate cut of 2025. What comes next? Massive inflation and unemployment. So a lot of people are very excited that the Fed Reserve is lowering interest rates in the crypto space. These are the most selfish people ever, because who gets hurt during these rate cuts? It's the average person on the street. If you have a regular job and you don't have enough inflation hedges, you're going to get hurt by this stuff because it's lowering the value of the US dollar. And if you're getting paid in US dollars, your purchasing power is going to go lower. All right. That is why you have the DXY, the dollar index, going down. Now, I said, get your hands on Bitcoin. Nothing stops this madness. Absolutely nothing is going to stop this craziness. Now, let's go over to some of these members at the Federal Reserve and see what they said. I'm going to give you my take on this here. Yeah, just listen. All right. Stephen Moran wanted a 50 basis point cut. Austin Goolsbee and Jeffrey Schmidt preferred no cut. Fed will begin purchasing $40 billion in treasury bills over the next 30 days to maintain ample reserves. They are going to be printing so much currency here. And a lot of people are saying that, hey, this is this 40 billion in treasury bills over the next 30 days isn't QE. Okay, so quantitative easing, which means essentially currency printing. Oh, just wait, all right? This guy, Quentin, gets it. Printing money, or currency it should be, to buy U.S. debt is QE. This is the final game, guys. This is the end game of an empire, right? Now, this LF Trader guy is great here. He says, stop asking, is this QE? This is a semantic trap. Now he says, start asking, does this action add net permanent dollar liquidity to the financial system? If the answer is yes, and it is, then for all practical market moving purposes, it is quantitative easing. So here we go. I'm going to give you my take after this, right? The 6 Fed officials in total wanted no change in rates according to the dot plot. So there were really 6 dissents, all right? 7 want no change in rates all next year. 11 want only 1 rate cut next year. The Fed idiot Moran wants rate cuts down to 2.12% next year. Now, here's the thing. The Fed Reserve is owned and operated by some very special families, which I've gone over. If you want a great book to understand what the Fed Reserve is, it's called The Creature from Jekyll Island, okay? And check out Money Masters. That's another great book that will educate you on this space. Most of the crypto space is not educated with how the Federal Reserve works or even who owns the Federal Reserve. I have been studying this stuff for over 2 decades. This is what has fascinated me about money and what's brought me to Bitcoin eventually back in 2012, 2013. So with that said, this is all theater, okay? It's all theater. The media wants you to think, the Federal Reserve wants you to think that, yes, there's independent thinkers inside the Federal Reserve that don't really agree with this or that, Bull crap. They all agree on the same thing. They're all puppets, okay? You should know that by now. And if you don't, check out those books that I just recommended. Now, let's go over to Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell says, and he's just a puppet, he also goes on to say, I don't think a rate hike is anyone's base case. So essentially, the Federal Reserve and the families that own the Federal Reserve are going to lower interest rates to the point where they are devaluing the currency so much that most Americans are just simply poor. There's going to be that wealth divide that you see in places like South Africa, where you have shanty towns and the extreme rich. That is what you're going to be seeing in the US because the middle class is finished. They're done. I've presented so much proof that that is happening over the past like 5 years since I've been on this channel, and Heidi has been providing this information even before that. So you know the facts. Now here's the kicker right here. They're not even hiding it anymore, guys. Jerome Powell says that the Fed thinks job gains are overstated by 60,000 in recent months, okay? So they're not even hiding the fact that the US economy is in pure implosion mode right now. There's nothing stopping that, guys. There's nothing. You have so many things going against the average person in the United States. You have AI and robotics that are going to be taking over many jobs. I would say like 50% of the jobs in the United States are going to be taken over at least by AI and robotics. You also have tariffs that are making things more expensive. You're also having rate cuts that are going to make things more expensive because the lower you bring rates down, the more inflation that's going to hit because that devalues the US dollar, and so on and so on and so on. I mean, the Federal Reserve is essentially printing $1 trillion every 70 something days. And I predicted once again that by the time the next election happens, the Federal Reserve will be printing $1 trillion every 20 days. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And it's just going to go on to the point where the Federal Reserve is going to be printing $1 trillion every single day. That is coming. You haven't seen anything yet. And I keep saying that since 5 years of being on this channel. Now, what should you take from what I've just said? You should consider, like I'm buying Bitcoin, all right? I'm dollar cost averaging on the way down. I don't care what the price of Bitcoin does in the short term. It really doesn't matter. You have short-term traders that are like, I hate the bulls, I hate the bears, or vice versa. I don't care. I'm here to purchase as much Bitcoin as possible. Let those short-term traders get liquidated because that's what's going to happen. You have Wall Street that owns this game now. So if you want to play with the sharks, you got to play smarter now, okay? This isn't the crypto space that we used to have back when, I first started, or even 2020. No, this is the Wall Street game now. And if you want to trade on leverage, you're going to get wiped out. So my suggestion, check out learningcrypto.com. We started this for a reason, to help people, help guide people, help hold people's hands through market conditions like we're having now. So if you do want your hand held and you do want to understand where crypto is going, where Bitcoin is going to be heading in the long term, I think it's beyond most people's wildest ideas. That is because they're printing so much currency. And I think what's going to be happening is you're going to have a lot of these crypto bros and a lot of these leverage traders getting wiped out, and then Wall Street's going to carry that bag to the moon, essentially, and past that. With that said, I will talk to you soon. Like and subscribe, guys. Subscribe to this channel. Talk to you soon.